Well, exciting days here in the Piston Broke Garage. Hello YouTube. You can see that my brand spanking new Flexi-Glass of Langley, BC, Canada, fiberglass bodywork has come in. Anyway, I don't know if I talked about this much in the previous videos. I decided to go with Flexi-Glass for a couple of reasons. One, they're Canadian. Two, I've seen a couple of positive videos of them installed on other bikes like a Ninja 400 or something like that. And the other thing is that it comes already primed. Now certainly it's not like there's a bit of, you can see probably a bit of orange peel on here, but you know, 2 or 3 tins of primer do cost around $35–40 if you're gonna do it as a spray bomb. So that's kind of a nice bonus. There's a couple of spots where there's been some runs in the primer, right there and right there, but again, that's easily addressed. So today is the day that I hopefully fit everything. By first accounts, and this was just out of the box and slapped it on, for lack of a better term. It lines up pretty nicely. Even some of you can see the little indent here appears to line up quite well with the holes for the windscreen. So I'm not ready to feverishly start drilling holes right away. There's going to be a lot of lining up and marking and checking and remeasuring and remarking and before I start drilling. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the quality of this Flexi-Glass bodywork. So I will put a link in the description so you can check it out yourself. I'm not sure about some of the I don't know if it's a fitment issue so much as you know, this little thing on top of the intake runner appears to be fouling a bit on the glass. So I don't know if I'm going to trim that away here or what exactly. There's another piece that actually sits on here to cover up these little, I'm not sure, that's a little resonator chamber. The other thing too that we'll have to sort out is, I don't know how well you can see, but the intake runner here does not quite meet the intake inlet here, but Trevor has also included these pieces here. So I think I'll just have to figure out how these two exactly made up. I think I've got a sense of how it all works. So yeah, there's that. Also exciting news. The belts came in from California Cycle Works. Not their fault. They shipped the day after I ordered, but UPS decided to take their time on this one. So Canadian mechanic, this is our reality. It is going to be a high of maybe 14 degrees today, which will be the last time it will be that warm for the next, probably 5 months. So I think today is the day to fit and tension these belts for a couple of reasons. One, as it warms up during the day, the rubber will become a bit more pliable, and I'm assuming that my flicking the belt harmonization, vibration, tension will be more accurate with slightly warmer belts than if it's minus 40 in here. So I'll be doing that today as well. I'll probably post some clips or include some clips as I go through that process here. But until it warms up, I'm actually going to work on the bodywork first. A little tip that I've learned over the years. With aftermarket bodywork, fit the windscreen first before you drill any other holes, because what sometimes happens is either the windscreen will flex out to meet the contour of the fairing, or the fairing will flex in to meet the contour of the windscreen. So it's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So I have it. This is one of the first sets of bodywork I fit. I got the bodywork, I fit it to the frame, and then got the windscreen later, and wouldn't you know it, nothing would fit because, you know, the ears needed to pull in a bit. So I'm going to always do that first, and then sort of work my way back, or go windscreen, front fairing, tail fairing, lower. I am going to work with obviously some quick release fasteners along the bottom. A bit of a disappointment here. It was a bit of a wild guess without having the fairing here, but I'm not sure how well you can see it. But the lower edge of the reservoir holder that I made does foul on the fairing. So I'll have to take that off to fit that correctly. I think what I'll end up doing, and it'll be a bit of a hassle, is I'm going to remove the right-hand side fan on that, so I've got just a better spot to mount the coolant bottle. It just kind of gets in the way there a bit, and there's some mounting points I can use. So again, for a race bike, I don't think deleting one fan is going to be a serious deal whatsoever. So there we go. That's what we'll start with today. So I've got to say, this is looking pretty darn good so far. Rear tail fairing went on super easy. The only thing is I'm going to have to come up with an outrigger mount. There's an attachment point here and 2 attachment points here, just to come up with a bracket to keep that from vibrating too much. But and I'll have to, you know, drill a hole along the center line here to keep that flapping. But anyway, the bolt holes all lined up, which were nice. Front fairing went on really good. Very carefully installed the front screen, of course. You know, started one there, 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 and, you know, screwed it on, marked it, unscrewed it, drilled it, put the second one on, marked it, undid it. Like, it takes quite a process, because, you know, you just don't have enough hands to say, okay, I'm going to mark it here and then mark all 8 other spots. You're going to get some alignment issues. So anyway, it's a bit of a slow and steady process, but yeah, it mounted on good. So with the upper fairing spot here, I just set in a riv nut. So I had to drill out this hole a bit, put in a steel riv nut, and that holds that securely there. So there are some pretty nice and cool looking aftermarket front fairing stays, but you know, I think the OEM one is made out of magnesium. So that's a that's a pretty good bit of material. I also trimmed a little sliver here. It was fouling on the intakes here, so I just trimmed that back with the Dremel and then hit it with the orbital sander, so that fits a lot better here. These bolts, again, line up really nice on each side. I'm going to use M5 bolts that I have leftover KTM parts, so they're Torx, which is a bit different from anything else, but they have a nice shoulder there, which I can put a nice thick aluminum washer in there to help isolate and keep things from cracking. So the last step is admittedly the hardest, and that's fitting the lower fairing. There is this mount here on the rear brake master cylinder bracket that you can use, but this doesn't quite line up, and then it's, you know, 1, 2, or 3 along here, you know, to keep it hanging. So I'll have to fabricate a bracket for the left-hand side, and I've removed the side stand. So as soon as you remove the side stand, then it's getting pretty racy. So anyway, yeah, looking back, I think it looks pretty darn fantastic right now. I also bought myself an inexpensive, aka cheap, Chinese quick action tank thinger, and yeah, 40 bucks, $0 shipping. That sits on there pretty nice. So again, you know, a Rizoma one would be nice, but why would you spend 4 times the price for it? So anyway, I'll keep plugging away on the lower fairing, and then again, it's currently 11 degrees in the garage, so let it warm up for another hour or so, and I'll tackle the belts. Well, that's about 3 hours worth of work, and that's some pretty nice looking aftermarket race bodywork. Yeah, it's obviously one of those situations where you get what you pay for, and this was worth the money. Although, quite honestly, I think with the exchange and that sort of thing, this wasn't that much more than what you know, some American bodywork would end up costing. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with this. A couple things I could have done differently. There's a bit of a fitment issue here that I might end up sorting out. I misaligned this slightly, so I might end up drilling some new holes here, and then glassing it over for repair. But yeah, the other side looks pretty good. Just with the design of the rear sets and that sort of thing, I'm going to have to trim this piece right here just because it fouls on the shifter. But yeah, this side looks good. It came together well. So yeah, I'm gonna play with it a bit more and make a few more minor adjustments. But yeah, I can't recommend Flexi-Glass Bodywork enough. It's going to take a little bit of work to get it prepped for paint. I'll have to decide what color I'm going to paint it, because of course that's really important. But yeah, what an outstanding quality product, I have to admit. So I might fabricate a different another mount here, just on this side, using one of these holes there. But yeah, in terms of the bodywork, it's not that I'm quite speechless. That's rare for me not to have anything to say. But yeah, in terms of yeah, you could have maybe spent a bit less going with something from China or overseas. And to my American friends, getting it shipped from Canada down to the States might be a bit more expensive, but the Canadian dollar right now is god awful. So maybe that's something to consider, is that you buy Canadian rather than buy American, and get yourself some awesome bodywork. So yeah, and again, even the time it took to fit this, normally you're fighting with this stuff for hours, and it literally went together in a morning or an afternoon. So slight error on my part, some trimming I need to do, but this is fantastic bodywork, so I can't recommend it enough. As I said, I'll put the link to Flexi-Glass in the bottom. Turnaround time is amazing. Trevor Beckman is his name. Check him out if you need some bodywork, either for 848, 1098, or any other bike for that matter. So I guess this is what happens when you work until your better half tells you to stop working now. So yeah, the Mazda spent the night outside, which was fine. It rained a bit and it needed a bit of a wash, but just a quick update on where things were at. I think when I posted the last segment at the end of the day yesterday, I still had some decisions to make. Light so we can see. So as I said, I'd trimmed back this piece here, so it clears the rear set properly. I was able to take the fairings off and then refit the, I'm sure well you can see it, refit the Woodcraft sliders, and so they do fit inside the bodywork, which is good, rather than drilling a big Jesus hole into the side of the fairing, which does make a whole lot of sense. I fitted the tank, but in doing some research, it's pretty common for these early plastic tanks to swell fore and aft, so much so that there's a couple companies that have sold an offset rear tank bracket. So I did, I guess, modify mine and open up these holes a bit, but it does not fit. It does not fit properly. So I need to take this off and replace it with an adjustable bracket. I also got out the hole saw and relieved a section here so I can see the sight glass, as well as you can see, this edge here sits quite proud of where the bodywork is right here. So it was just fouling on this and leading to some fitment issues. So relieving that also helped it fit a lot better up here. And you can see I need to fill some holes here to adjust the fairing. It fits a lot better now from the front to the back. So with a little bit of fiberglass epoxy, I'll be taking care of that shortly, likely today. And again, it'll get up to the mid-teens in terms of the weather. so that's warm enough towards the noon and afternoon to use epoxy fiberglass and resin. So I'll tidy that up. So and I think I've decided on a paint scheme. I think I'm going to go with like an Italian tricolor flag paint scheme. So that'll be fun to do, and again, something I can do myself with spray bombs from either Canadian Tire or Home Depot. They have the colors that are close enough. So a little bit of masking tape and some sanding and some clear coating, and it should end up with a pretty neat finished product. So yeah, once again, I think I was getting kind of punch drunk at the end of the day yesterday, and how I ended up the last segment. So, but yeah, I can't speak highly enough. Flexi-Glass fairings, is, in terms of how well they fit, any of the trimming I did was pretty minimal. The misalignment on this side was my fault, which I can sort out, but definitely high quality race motorcycle fairings, and they're Canadian. So as I said, I kind of inferred that they were more expensive than buying something from overseas or from the States, and no, that's not the case when you factor in shipping, insurance, customs, duty, that sort of thing. If you're in Canada, buy Canadian. If your bike has what Flexi-Glass has in their fitment range, definitely do it. You know, I think I saw a set of Hot Bodies fairings for $700 US shipped, but then, you know, there's the exchange and brokerage fees at the border, and then the delay, and then some questionable quality, I guess, of those fairings from what I've heard lately. So again, all stuff that you should consider when it comes time to making your fairing choice. So anyway, like I said, thrilled how it went on. You can also see that the belt covers were on. There's enough videos out there to show how to use apps for installing belt covers. I use an easy tension app. Find Brad the Bike Boy online, subscribe and like him if you haven't already. His videos are exceptional. So I use that to you know, put on the belts and set the tension, you know, between 100 and 110 hertz on both sides. Again, I like things slightly on the loose side, and when I tested the belts that were on there, it was over 140 hertz. So either they'd started to get brittle, or they were tightened way too much. So anyway, a bit of fiberglass repair and tidying up the garage, and that'll be it for me for this installment.